I keep falling in love with him over and over and over and over again. I keep falling in love with him over and over and over and over again. He gets sweeter and sweeter as the days go by. Oh, what a love between my Lord and I. Keep falling in love with him over and over and over and over again. He keeps blessing me over and over and over and over and over again. He keeps blessing me over and over and over and over and over again. He gets sweeter and sweeter as the days go by. Oh, what a love between my Lord and I. He's falling in love with him over and over and over and over again. He keeps cleansing me over and over and over and over and over again. He keeps cleansing me over and over and over and over and over again. He gets sweeter and sweeter as the days go by. Oh, what a love between my Lord and I. Keep falling in love with him over and over and over and over again. Worthy of praises, Christ our Redeemer. Worthy of glory, honor, and power. Worthy of all soul adoration. Worthy art thou. Worthy art thou. Worthy of riches, blessing and honor. Worthy of wisdom, glory and power. Worthy of earth and heaven's thanksgiving. Worthy art thou. Worthy art thou. Lift up the voice in praise and devotion. Saints of all earth before him to bow. Angels in heaven worship him, saying, Worthy art thou, worthy art thou, worthy of riches, blessing and honor, worthy is wisdom, glory and power, worthy of earth and heaven's thanksgiving, worthy art thou, worthy art thou. Lord, may we come before thee with singing, filled with thy spirit, wisdom and power. May we ascribe thee glory and honor. Worthy art thou, worthy art thou, worthy of riches, blessing and honor, worthy of wisdom, glory and power, worthy of earth and heaven's thanksgiving, worthy art thou, worthy art thou. There is Lord Jesus, ruler of all nature. O thou of God and man, the Son. Thee will I cherish, thee will I honor, thou my soul's glory, joy, and crown. Fair art thou.
Joey, I'm hoping this pandemic is behind us. I wish we had some other things that we could get behind us. Gerald, you're not one of them. I don't trust you behind me. But, you know, tell you something that happened to your preacher this week. You know how you get things in your head and you get the ideas that certain days are coming up, certain times. And the other day I had a preacher friend of mine from Kentucky Thursday morning call me right at Rocky. He said, "What are you going to preach on Sunday?" And I said, "Father's Day, of course." And he goes, "Father's Day is the next Sunday." I said, "What are you going to preach on?" He goes, "I don't know. That's why I called you." I don't know. And we look at these things that are going on, and preachers do. And sometimes I had one lesson that was an idea, and then as I got into it, and I watched things happen and develop on Friday and Saturday, or Thursday and Friday morning, that I said, you know, we got to look at it. We got to look at what's going on around us and make application and understand who we are to be. And so our lesson this morning is going to be about love and conflict. And the idea of what Christians are to look at and some things that are love and some things that are not love. And we need to realize some things that as we ought to behave and think about. In 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and I know the context of the deal up here is dealing with spiritual gifts, but these statements Paul makes about love pertain no matter what the topic. Now look at what he says here. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave brutally, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity. Did you notice all the knots there? He says these things are not of love. But rejoices in truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. And we understand when he says believes all things and hope all things, he's all those things that God has spoken about. All those things are truth. Love looks for those things. And so that's what we want to think about this morning. Up there where it says, love does not rejoice in iniquity. The NIV in unrighteousness. And that's a very good word about it, because what is iniquity? It's sin. What is sin? Sin is unrighteousness. And we have a real problem today with our society rejoicing in what is unrighteous. And the way they're handling this conflict shows us how unrighteous they are. We need to start thinking about some things. The only thing that conflict and strife can really do is divide. Now, Paul would say to the Corinthians, there's divisions among you, and I believe it, so that those who are in the right may stand out. That's paraphrasing. That's what he's looking at. And the idea of those who are seeking to divide and seeking to cause conflict is not saying we can't always avoid conflict. It's because they are causing strife. They want to divide. Notice these things that the Lord says he hates in Proverbs 6:16-19. These things the Lord hates, yes, 7 are abomination to him. A proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that are swift to run into evil, a false witness who speaks lie, and one who sows discord among brethren. What did he say? He said these things the Lord hates. And he hates them so much, he calls them an abomination. You ever look at that word, what it means to be an abomination? It literally, if we were to put it in terms we could really understand, means it causes his stomach to turn. Turn in such a way it makes him sick in his stomach. Now we know the Lord don't have a stomach like we do. but we know He understands that feeling. He's trying to get us to understand what it does to Him, that when we feel that way. And I think if you're going to list sins and greater things, these are there. And they're all usually all tied together. And that's something that we realize. And the thing of it is, we can't practice those things and walk as Jesus would have us to walk. That puts us in darkness. You know, I'm learning a lot about 1 John lately. And even though he starts out the first chapter talking about walking in the light versus walking in darkness, he talks a lot about darkness and what it means to walk in darkness. And I want you to read this point. It says, he who says he is in the light and hates his brother is in darkness until now. He who loves his brother and abides in the light, and there is no cause for stumbling in him. But he who hates his brother in darkness and walks in darkness does not know where he is going, because the darkness has blinded his eyes. I thought about that today, or the other day, as I was doing this and looking over it again this morning. And one thought keeps popping into mind. Jesus said, if the blind lead the blind, then they both fall in the ditch. If you see somebody out there leading people in greed and hate, they're blind. If they want to call that love, they're blind. They want to call themselves Christians, they're blind. And all those people who are following them are just as blind. And they're all going to end up in the ditch. And we are not to be like that. We are not to be the people that want to be divided but want to be united. Doesn't mean we accept everything, but it means what our priority is. Remember in Romans chapter 12, Paul says, as much as is within you to live peacefully with all men. That means our attitude is we want to live peacefully. We might have to stand up at a time to time, but our goal is to live peacefully. Our goal is to seek the things that will move us out or move us into fellowship with God and not out of fellowship with God. See, that's the thing that comes back. Think about 1 John 1, verses 5 through 7. If we walk in the light as He is in the light, then the blood of His Son cleanses all sin. What it says in verse 5 is, God is light, and in Him is no darkness at all. If we are in darkness, we neither have Him nor His Son. It tells us we make Him a liar. But we walk in the light. And notice what He says here in chapter 3. Little children, let no one deceive you. He who practices righteousness is righteousness, just as He is righteous. He who sins is of the devil, for the devil has sinned from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of God was manifested, that He might destroy the works of the devil. Now here's the reality. If we're practicing sin, where are we? And what that means is, not if we sit there and stumble and make a mistake on occasion. It means that we bring sin in our lives and let it rule. That we are habitual sinners. Where are we at? If we hate our brother, where are we at? We're not in association with God. We've moved out of that association. And yet the purpose of the Son was to bring the light. Notice it goes on to say, whoever has been born of God does not sin, for his seed remains in him. And he cannot sin because he has been born of God. And this children of God and the children of the devil are manifest. Whoever does not practice righteousness is not of God, nor is he who does not love his brother. Our society has a big problem with hating the sin and still loving the sinner. But that's what God wants us to do. We can still love our brother and hate what he's doing. Back a long time ago, one of my children was in an argument with their mother about taking a bath and going to bed. She was about 4. I happened to be there. Wasn't my house. Wasn't my circus. Was one of my monkeys, but wasn't my circus. Right up to the point that I heard her say, I hate you. And that's when I got up, went and found him. I popped that little bottom a couple of times, went back to putting this crossword or this puzzle together. About 2 days later, I'm talking to Alex on the phone, and I hear the two of them at it, mother and daughter, screaming. I still don't understand why an adult argues with a 4-year-old. But that's what happened. And all of a sudden, I heard out of that little 4-year-old's mouth, I don't like what you're doing. She learned. I told her, don't ever tell your mother you hate her. She didn't have to like what she was doing, but she wanted to. That's what God wants us to do. We may not like things, but that don't mean we have to hate people because they do. Because once we do that, we're no longer in fellowship with God. See, we're wanting to seek resolution. Resolution, peace. Notice in James 3:17-18, James writes, but the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceful, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. Now the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. Years ago, we had a president that wanted to be known as a peacemaker. He said, peacemaker be known as the sons of God. It does say that in Matthew chapter 5, but that's not the peace it's talking about. He was trying to make peace between countries. That's not the peace that God is talking about. God's talking about making that peace between man and him, bringing people in. Why do we want to live peacefully with people? Well, we want to encourage them to become Christians. We want them to encourage them to get their lives right with God. Because the truth of the matter is, when it's all said and done, none of this matters except how we stand before God. David this morning says, I got to say it. It's going to be greater later. Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. And I told him, I said, if it's getting greater than this, I can't wait. See, it doesn't matter how bad things are on this earth are, heaven's going to be greater. And it doesn't matter how great your life is, heaven's going to be greater. There's no place greater, there's no place better than heaven. Now, personally, I'm feeling in a pretty good mood right now, but tomorrow's coming. And I know life can change in an instant. But the remembrance is, heaven is always better. It's coming. That's our goal. That's where we want to be. And no matter what man does, he can't take it away. But we can help somebody find it. We can show them the love that they need to have to maybe change their mind. Maybe point out some things. Maybe sometimes we just need to sit back and not even argue our point. Let them get all the air out. Let them get done with venting. And then maybe, just maybe, they'll listen to us. That's our hope. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find resolution. There's an incident back in the Old Testament, way back there in Genesis. You know, you want to think about how Jacob stole Esau's blessing. He kind of manipulated getting the birthright, and some people kind of condemned him for getting the blessing, and he was wrong in the way he got the blessing. Let me be honest with that. He was wrong in the way he got it, but once he got the birthright, the blessing was supposed to be his. Now, here's the problem. Jacob has to leave leave after he gets that blessing because Esau is planning to kill him. You want to talk about two brothers and one of them hating the other one, this is the perfect point. And Jacob's been gone a long time. Probably about 21 years, somewhere in that is what we best compare. And he's coming back. And he's worried. The closer he gets, he sends messengers to Esau, tell him he's coming. And he gets down and he prays to God to have cure Esau's temper. To let him survive. But you know, it's interesting, right after he prays to God, he starts making this gift to Esau. Every camel, every goat that comes into it, this comes up to him, he makes that as a gift to try to appease Esau. And then one of his messengers comes back and tells him, he's coming. He's coming. And that scares him a little more. Now notice what it says. Now Jacob lifted his eyes and looked, and there Esau was coming. And with him were 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the two handmaids. And he put the maidservants, their children in front, Leah and her children behind, and Rachel and Joseph last. Then he crossed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. Now look what he's doing there. Why is he bowing down? He's showing Esau, I'm not coming boldly. I'm coming humbly. He's showing Esau his humility. But notice what it says, but Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Oh, our society tells you grown men aren't supposed to weep. God says, weep. There's time for weeping. Nothing wrong with grown men weeping. These two brothers wept over the 20 years they had lost over something that wasn't going to change anything. They were their only brothers. Just the two of them. And they made peace with one another. Esau, when you listen to him, he talks about how God has been good to him and what God has done for him. He recognizes that God's plan was going to use Jacob. And see, it rejoices. When Esau says, I've got plenty, he asks, what's all this stuff that I met, all these camels and goats and all these other livestock? Jacob tells him it's a gift. He says, I don't need it. The Lord has blessed me. But notice what Jacob said. No, please, if I have now found favor in your sight, then receive my present from my hand, inasmuch as I have seen your face, is as though I had seen the face of God, and you were pleased with me. Notice what he said there. You're being pleased with me and seeing me and glad to see me. That's as if I saw God. Can you think of a more glorious thing than to see God and know that He was pleased with you? And I want you to think about something here. Jacob is basically telling Esau he's sorry for bargaining him out of his birthright, of stealing the blessing. He's telling him he regrets that. He's repenting. And Esau is basically saying, I'm sorry for ever wanting to kill you. He's repenting. Now, what did the Lord say about a sinner coming to repentance? The angels of heaven rejoice. As much as Jacob felt like he had seen the face of God, seeing Esau being happy to see him again, angels of heaven were rejoicing over these two brothers reconciled. Anywhere we can possibly be able to reconcile without going into sin, God rejoices. See, love loves resolution. And reconciliation is a result of love. Look here at 2 Corinthians 5, verses 18 through 19. What you think about Jesus on the cross? What was happening? Because this is what Paul is telling. What really was happening was God extending reconciliation to us. Notice he says, now all things are God who has rescued himself through Jesus Christ and has given us a ministry of reconciliation. That is, that God was in Christ reconciling the world to himself, not imputing their trespasses to them, and has committed to us the word of reconciliation. That word imputing means so they didn't settle that they could not be forgiven. It wasn't saying they were already forgiven, but they were in a spot where they could still be forgiven. See? So I try to get across to anything be forgiven if people are going to be willing to go to God and seek forgiveness in the way in which he has prescribed. When does that stop? With death. As long as we're on this side of eternity, we can get forgiveness. And we can get it because Jesus Christ died upon that cross. And God is seeking our reconciliation. And he wants us to seek reconciliation. Whether it be for sin, to reconcile to him, or even among one another. Notice this point here that God is love and seeks for us to that's supposed to be reconcile, not reconciliation. Notice it says in Matthew 18:15-7, moreover, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he hears you, you have gained your brother. If he will not hear you, take with you one or two more, that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. And if he refuses to hear him, then tell it to the church, and if he refuses even to hear the church, let him be to you like a heathen and a tax collector. What are you saying? He said, let him be like somebody that won't hear. Let him go. Now, I want you to understand something. There's an attitude that's supposed to be in here, and it's supposed to be the love of wanting to reconcile. See, two people are supposed to be able to talk this out because they love each other and want to reconcile. The attitude of the one who is trying to get the other brother back is wanting to reconcile. You want to know tell how somebody really doesn't want to reconcile and just wants to be angry with somebody? They're going to tell everybody else. They don't go to the one that they're mad at or the one that did it wrong. They're going to tell everybody else how bad that person is. See, that's not love. Love goes directly to the person. Love seeks to find an answer. See? Somebody asks me, well, what about the 2 or 3? Are those that already know about it? No. There are 2 or 3 to witness that you went there, that you sought reconciliation. And guess what? They're also there to make a judgment. Next time you think somebody did you wrong, you want to go see them, really examine it. Because you might have misunderstood. Might not really be any conflict there. Might be some just misunderstanding. That's what the 2 or 3 to do, is make a judgment as to whether this person actually did something. So when you remember, you might be the one that talked. And of course, that's the same thing with the church. They're to make the judgment. They're to hear it. Who's right, who's wrong. And it's not everybody in the church. I had somebody tell me that. Well, that means everybody from the littlest member to the oldest member. No, he's not. I didn't talk about those who are in leadership of the church. You don't take it to everybody. Everybody don't need to know everything. You want to see why we got so much conflict in the world right now? That's because we're trying to tell everybody everything. God didn't set it up that way. If you think I'm wrong, then explain to me the Mount of Transfiguration. Only 3 apostles went up on that mountain. And when they were headed down, they were told to keep it a secret until after the resurrection. And then go and read Deuteronomy 29:29, where it says that the secret things belong to God and the revealed things belong to man. In days I'm going to do it. Sermon on God has secrets. Nothing wrong with having a secret. Not everything is everybody's business. And that's where this starts. Two people are not making it everybody else's business. That's reconciliation. That's called love. See, if we really love our brother, we want to be at least reconciled to him. We may not be the best of friends, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we at least want to be able to talk to one another civilly, shake each other's hand, be glad to see each other. Notice he says here in 1 John 3:18-19, my little children, let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and truth. And by this we know that we are of truth and shall assure our hearts before him. Now, I want you to put that in mind with what we just looked at. A true brother that loves somebody wants to see them reconciled with one another and with God. Because if they're truly sinning, it's not just a separation between me and them, it's also a separation between them and God. So if we truly love them and want to see that reconciliation, we're going to go to them in a manner of seeking that they have forgiveness. Notice that thing he said. Don't do it just in word or in tongue, but with actions. Practice it. Seek it. Look for it the right way. Don't you think about this? God is love. If we're Christians, what does that mean? Well, let's come to mean Christ-like. If God is love, and God seeks reconciliation, shouldn't we be more like God? Wouldn't that be the answer to all this conflict? If everybody just do what's right. But you know, doing what's right starts with the church. And that's where we have to be. Sometimes we have to bigger people and yield a little bit. Not so much that we give up doctrine, give up what's right. Sometimes we just have to let things go. I want you to think about this point as we get ready to close. Much as he said heaven is greater, I'll get greater later. That's because that's going to be pure love. Love is always greater. 1 Corinthians 13:13 says, and now by faith, hope, love, these three, but the greatest of these is love. You want to have great faith, it's going to be found in love. Hope is found in love. When faith has been sight, and hope is no longer hope, but recognition of what we hope for, love will be what's left there. And that's what we're going to find in heaven. Love for one another, love for God. If you're not a Christian, go ahead. I hope that you'll make a decision to become. And for something that we need to help you with, we're going to start doing things a little different here. We'll ask that if you need to respond, please meet me in the back. Or go see Joey right here in this corner. So that is, we'll leave that up to you, and they're up after the Lord's Supper. But we want you to understand we're still here to help you with your walk with God. There is nothing that matters more on this of God's green earth than your salvation. It matters so much to Him that He gave His Son for it. And it matters to us. If need be, please come while we stand, while we sing, enjoy it myself.
I am resolved no longer to linger, charmed by the world's delight. Things that are higher, things that are older, things that allure my sight. I will hasten to Him, hasten so glad and free. Jesus, precious highest, I will come to Thee. I am resolved to go to the Savior, leaving my sin and strife. He is the true one, He is the just one, He has the words of life. I will hasten to Him, hasten so glad and free. Jesus, greatest, highest, I will come to Thee. I am resolved to enter the kingdom, leaving the paths of sin. Friends may oppose me, foes may beset me, still will I enter in. I will hasten to Him, hasten so glad and free. Jesus, greatest, highest, I will come to Thee. Please be seated. Let's prepare our minds for the Lord's Supper. Tell me the story of Jesus, write on my heart every word. Tell me the story most precious, sweetest that ever was heard. Tell the angels in chorus, sang as Gabriel on His birth. Glory to God in the highest, peace and good tidings on earth. Tell me the story of Jesus, write on my heart every word. Tell me the story most precious, sweetest that ever was heard. Fasting alone in the desert, tell of the days that are past, how for our sins He was tempted, yet was triumphant at last. Tell of the years of His labor, story most precious, sweetest that ever was heard. Tell of the cross where they nailed him, writhing in anguish and pain. Tell of the grave where they laid him. Tell how he lived again. Love in that story so tender, clearer than ever I see. Saying what you whisper, love is the ransom for me. Tell me the story of Jesus, write on my heart every word. Tell me the story most precious, sweetest that ever was heard.
I was gonna ask everybody if they have one of these. This is how we're doing it instead of passing things out. They're at the back, and you got them when you first came in. If anybody's missing one, raise your hand. We'll get one distributed out to you. Sometimes this memorial is a sad occasion to me, and sometimes it's a real joyous occasion to me. And you don't know exactly how to prepare sometimes, but then the song comes up like this, and you want to take it away a little bit of thinking of the sad part and the things that Jesus went through. One of the things that I kind of prepared for before that song, and I changed my mind after the song there. And if you have a red letter edition Bible, you'll notice that in John 14 through 17, Jesus gives one of the longest dissertations to his disciples on the things that they're going to face in this world. It says that I've said these things to you that in me you may have peace. In the world you're going to have tribulation. That means as long as you're in the world there's going to be conflict. But I take heart, I have overcome the world. And I think of myself in that boat every once in a while with the storm on the sea, the conflict going on all around me. But Jesus was in that boat. The disciples were in that boat. They thought they were going to drown because they saw all of the turmoil going on around them. They thought they were going to die. But if you think about it, the master and creator of all creation is in that boat with them. That isn't logic. As long as you remain in that boat, as long as you remain in that vine, all the conflict is going to stay outside. He's overcome it. With a word, he calmed that sea. Everything just died. Just smooth. So remember that with all of this going on. Stay in the vine. Stay in the word. Stay in the boat with Jesus. Because he said you're going to have tribulation in this world. But take heart, I have overcome the world. With that, we'll have the prayer for the bread. And we'll remember each and every first day of the week Jesus is still in the boat, and we're in there with him. And he's overcome the world and all of that that's going on outside and around us.
You bow with me, Father in heaven, as we assemble here this morning, remembering, first of all, the freedom we have. We're so thankful, Father, for now Jesus, the life he lived here, the example he set. And we know one day, Father, coming maybe quicker for some of us than others. That day we will be able to assemble at your Son's feet. We're so thankful that we can focus on that day because of what he accomplished here on this earth. As we so repetitive each and every Sunday, we take with this bread, this fruit of the vine. So many times we lose the true meaning. It becomes a good habit. Father, we ask you to forgive us. But we need to be always focused on what it really means. Holding our hand, this bread represents his body. And this morning, Father, I pray that you would forgive each of us of any wrong in life. And we know that Jesus Christ is your Son. And it's always in his name we pray.
Now we'll have a prayer for the fruit of vine.
Heavenly Father, we are thankful for the opportunity to partake of this fruit of the vine, which represents to us Christians the blood that was shed by Jesus the Christ on the cross on the day of his crucifixion. But we're thankful that you have set it up so that if we repent, that we can be continually cleansed by that blood that was shed on that day. In Christ's holy name we pray. Amen.
That concludes the Lord's Supper. There's a box in the back, as you may know, the contribution. We won't do that, the passing out of the trays and that. So as you come in or as you leave, the box will be back there for the collection. The elders administer that and take care of what is needful for the church, for spreading the gospel throughout the world. I don't know if anybody had Joey's got a prayer for the contribution. Or about go ahead and do that. Okay. Father, all things are yours. The cattle on 1,000 hills are yours. All the gold is yours. All the silver is yours. We thank you for blessing us and for providing for us each our daily bread, our lives, roof over our head, and clothes on our back. We return gladly a portion to you, remembering that it all is yours. We ask that you bless it and spread it through the world so that your word
continues and so that your kingdom will continue. We know that there is only one kingdom in this world that is free of conflict, and that is in your kingdom. The kingdom of your dear Son, the kingdom we all proclaim to this world. As Jesus said to his disciples, love one another, by this all the whole world will know that you are my disciples. We ask that your kingdom come,